All right, we've got some great Georgia Bulldogs news for you guys today. Of course, this is a Georgia team that's used to dominating the headlines. They're used to making all the big names, picking up all the elite prospects and transfer guys, making big news left and right. They dominate the headlines, picking up all the stars. They've basically become like the New York Yankees of the college football world, getting every single superstar in the books when it comes to recruiting. But that's not just what Kirby Smart and Georgia does. They also make a lot of smart moves that go under the radar. And this latest one is a perfect example of that. Let's pull up this report talking about another smart recruiting move, courtesy of 24/7 Sports. It didn't take long for Landon Rolen to make himself a household name at Georgia. The Bulldogs have been a major name in his household his whole life. The North Oconee, Georgia athlete has been a talented local prospect for several years. Only recently, however, did he start to generate recruiting interest from the in-state Bulldogs. He was a standout at a recent camp in return for a private workout with offensive coaches. Ultimately, he picked up a Georgia offer in the middle of June. Less than 2 weeks since that offer, Roldan is ready to call himself a dog. He committed to Georgia on Thursday, only a few days removed from his official visit. He called Georgia coaches on Tuesday to let them know of his decision. Again, this is kind of an under the radar commit. Obviously, Georgia's used to dominating the headlines, but I think this guy's could be a special player as well. Miles, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, but Georgia fans in the comment section below. We're talking receivers today, which is a great position historically for Georgia, kind of an underrated wide receiver program. Give us your favorite Georgia Bulldogs receiver of all time. There's literally like 10 guys in the past decade that could be on the top of the list, but only can pick one. Give us your favorite Georgia wide receiver, team history. Put them in the comment section below. But Miles, what are your thoughts on this latest Georgia Bulldogs news?
Yeah, Nick, I think this is great news for Georgia because I'm gonna, relate them to a couple of other teams who've done what Georgia has done recently. That's been by far the last 3 years the best team in college football, no doubts whatsoever. This is a very incredible team. And I think sometimes when teams get really good, and maybe even so when they get a really big name coach, which I think Kirby Smart now especially is a as big as they get in the college football world now that Coach Saban has stepped down. Sometimes they get too big for their britches, and I like to akin it to like Jimbo Fisher when he's at Texas A&M. They just go out and they just forget about all of the local talent. They go out and start just trying to get every five-star they can get. They get every national recruit they can get, and they don't stay true to their roots. They don't look at the in-state talent and try to get those guys as well because those are the hidden gems. And when you have a guy like Roland who's dreamed every day of going to Georgia, uh, it's not going to be that hard of a sell. It's not going to take that many resources to get a player like him. But the key is he's in state. He's going to come to your camps. You're going to be able to see him. And when you see him and you see that he has some talent, some ability, to potentially be a Latin Conky type player, just, a really good wide receiver for this team, I think that this is a great opportunity for Georgia to show that, hey, we still value our in state talent. You can be a lower ranked recruit, but if you're a really good player that's maybe under the radar, we have our eye out for you. So come to our camps, come, show what you got, and there's an opportunity for you to get a scholarship and make this team. We're not just big dogs, national, five-star recruiting guys. We love the in state talent as well. I think for Kirby Smart to do this and for Roland to get onto this team, or Roldan, excuse me, however you pronounce it. I think this is great for Georgia, and I think it's going to help them bring in all of the local talent that really wants to play for them.
Look at the comparison seems so obvious, but it does feel like another Lad McConkey kind of guy. McConkey was 180 pounds, was a three-star recruit coming out of high school, was not a big name. He was not anyone that was expected to have the career he had at Georgia, wasn't really having any expectations at all. And we look at Roldan as one of those guys who potentially could fall into those footsteps, right? And I just love Roldan's story because I think this is what makes college football so great. He's from a town of Court. I looked it up here just to confirm it, called Bogart, Georgia, in Oconee County. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I apologize if I'm not. Georgia people out there, you got a million counties in that state, can't pronounce them all correctly. But he's from a small county, small town, 1,300 people, schools about the same size, right? This is sort of small town Southern football at its finest. You got a kid from a small school, under the radar recruit, going to the big state national program. I'm expecting big things out of him because if there's one thing we know about Kirby Smart, there's one thing we know about this entire Georgia program is they understand how to get the best out of each and every player based on their skill sets, right? Whether it's their mammoth defensive lineman or offensive lineman or quarterback, they put everybody in positions to be successful. And I think we're going to see the same thing out of this kid going forward. And I really like the fact that you kind of brought it up here that Georgia is focusing also on potential steals under the radar guys too, because a lot of these 5 stars, it's like a first round pick in the NFL draft. The hit rate is only so much. Not every 5 star, not every 4 star becomes a superstar. But sometimes some of those, to use the NFL analogy, those late round guys, those draft steals can become superstars, Hall of Fame players as well. It's the same thing with 2 and 3 star recruits. And I think the Georgia Bulldogs have added a potential steal here as well, another one at the wide receiver position.